Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today I've got another clone versus real knife comparison, and I'm going to try to keep my personal feelings out of this. I'll wait to put my personal feelings, hopefully, in the overall review of the Ultramar, the Chaves Ultramar Redencion 229. But today I want to show you the differences between the real and the fake. Now, of course, this knife you'll see doesn't have the screw holes in the skeleton key, I'm sorry, the skeleton pocket clip, and this knife does. So this is a copy of an older knife. I didn't buy this knife for educational purposes. I bought this knife because it was the most expensive clone I had ever seen. Besides that one guy that does or this isn't really a clone. This is a counterfeit. Call it how you say it. But the one dude that does the clones of the the Norseman, and I think that's about all he does. So aside from that, like the specs should be pretty much the same, except for this is it's a titanium frame, and well, this side is titanium, and this side is, of course, G10, G10. Specifically, this was the Blade HQ exclusive. Okay, so the differences. We'll start off with the blade. Of course, the blade is far superior than what you'll get on a clone. I think this is C27 or possibly 14 C28, something to that extent. Let me see. Okay. I'm going to have to get it back in the light. Let's see if I can adjust this light. You see the skeleton key? Oh, it's not very easy to see. I'm sorry. The skeleton key is if not having a real one to compare it to would look about right. This one may be a little easier to see because of the black blade. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. The difference is this is a shorter key and it's taller versus the longer and skinnier skeleton key on the fake knife. And I know that's hard to see, man. It's really hard to pick up. But it's not exactly the right measurements. Another thing on the blade, the blade stock is thicker on the spine than on the real Chaves. This one almost comes to a false switch, like a edge. The switch comes to a point at the top. The blade geometry is pretty similar. Both are hollow ground, and they did a pretty good job. This hollow ground is, I would say, just as pronounced as this one. I have no way to measure in that really, but I will say that the jimping at the top of the fake is more rounded off, and to be honest, more comfortable. Like this is more squared off. I mean, place your fingers on the blade. It's grippier, which is what jimping is supposed to be, but it's got some hot spots. Like it'll be sharp enough or rigidity enough, I suppose, to feel like it may have some hot spots. Where on the fake it's more rounded off. There's no discomfort when you're holding the knife. On the handles, you'll see the pivot sizes are like the actual size of the pivot. It's not just the hole, the Torx screw hole, but the actual pivot size itself is is larger in diameter on the fake than it is on the real. We flip it over, and you'll see that this side of the pivot doesn't have a screw hole at all, where the real does. So like, I didn't have to have 2 Torx bits to take this apart, but I wouldn't have been surprised if I did. Like to like have one over here to hold it in place while you loosen the other side. This one you wouldn't have to have that at all. The stop pin screw is bigger on the fake than it is on the real, and the pocket clip is a little longer on the fake than it is on the real. There's as far as identifying, like the real clearly identifies the metal as M390. And, yeah, okay. Well, yeah. Okay. M390 on the blade. And respectively, they didn't claim this to be anything that it wasn't. They didn't let us know what kind of steel it was at all on the blade, and that's fine. I appreciate that. For what it is. So that to me that's about all of the differences that I can find. The screws are not going to be interchangeable on the scales. The body screws, they won't be interchangeable. They'll probably even be a different size, but like all the screws tend to be bigger on the fake than they are on the real. Like it's pretty much seems to be the story, whether it be the pivot or the stop pin or the body screws on the show side. So they're bigger and they don't stand out. They're inset. So like you run your finger across on the fake, and this fake particularly is made by SMKE. This knife is made by Riot. Related companies, unfortunately, were in the beginning. I think is the word on the street, as the kids say. Started off doing a lot of research and development together to build knives, and one went one way to create counterfeits, and the other went one way to create real knives and gain real business and work with quality materials. So that's the story I hear. The thumb studs, man, aside from these thumb studs being like more aggressively grooved than the real, they're pretty close to the same. Can you see that jimping difference? There's like way more space in between. I hope that picks up on the camera. But there's like way more space in between on the jimping. And even on the handle, there's the same amount of jimping, but it's more rigidity and more rounded. So that's about what we got. If you know of any other differences that I've missed, please don't hesitate to let me know. I've found what I could. There's not a lot of info on YouTube. So I'm proud to be, I think, the first person to compare. These 2 knives. And before I send this one to Raymond Chavez, if I can get a hold of him, that's what my plan is to get a hold of Raymond Chavez and see if he wants this knife so he can see what the community's doing. I'm trying to morally figure out what to do with these clones now that I'm needing to get rid of them. And I think the moral thing to do is to give them to the people that they're imitating. I mean, imitation is a form of flattery. Some people, like some makers will see it like that. Some makers will not. But if Raymond wants that knife, it's his. It belongs to him. He's the one that designed it, and he's the one that got ripped off. So that's my feelings on the matter. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you like the content. Please like the video, and we will catch you on the flip side.